Hey kids, this is Pulse Ray Vision coming to you live from Quattro Cinco Studios in my mom's basement. And I am speaking at normal speed, so you're going to have to go to 1.25x to make this sound better. So, sorry. I wish I could normally speak 1.25x because I've been told I sound smarter. We're reading Rings of Dust, Chapter 22, Part 1, The Pull. And this looks like it's going to be a really good chapter. So I'm going to share my screen, and you can learn to read by following along on the screen and listening to me to read. That's probably what a lot of people use this for, is just, teaching their kids to read. Homeschool kids, I'm guessing. All right, so here we go. Rings of Dust, Chapter 22, The Pull. The 23rd day, she'd been gone for 5 of them. She caught herself counting on the approach back in, the same way she'd counted on the approach out. But out had felt like release, and in felt like something else. Not return, not obligation, something she didn't have a name for yet, which was becoming a pattern in this place. She'd been 3 hours out when it happened, not a voice. She would have said there was no voice. Oh, she would have said there was no voice if anyone had asked. It was the rhythm, the specific cadence of her grandmother's Friday evening recitation. The way she had said the names of the ancestors before lighting the candles, and the phrase that came at the end of the names, the one Jill had heard so many times as a child that it had stopped meaning anything and become wallpaper, background sound in a childhood kitchen. If you truly believe in something and pour yourself into it, it will continue in your children. She'd been running the post-launch checks, which she did on autopilot, her hands doing what hands do when the mind is somewhere else. She was somewhere else. She had been somewhere else since the asteroid had disappeared from the rear scope. The phrase arrived the way things arrived when you have heard them 500 times and never listened. All at once, and with the specific weight of something that had been waiting for the right conditions to land. It will continue in your children. She didn't have children. She had never thought about children, not seriously, not in any way that meant something. She had spent her adult life moving around the edges of the empire her bloodline built, staying lean and unencumbered and deliberately unreachable. Because the one thing she was certain of was that she did not want to become the thing the Virgolds had become. She had made herself small to keep herself clean. But that wasn't the whole thought her grandmother had been saying, was it? The thought was, if you believe in something and pour yourself into it. She had just spent 23 days watching a community of people pour themselves into something. She had watched Tyler walk down a tunnel until gravity let go of him. She had watched Petra sit with those notebooks for decades, keeping them alive, keeping the record. She had watched the gold crater appear in the side of an asteroid 11 days after a sacrifice and felt something in her chest that she had spent 3 hours trying to name and had eventually set aside because she didn't have a category for it. She had the notebook in her cargo locker. She had a collective contact. She had a route to someone who might understand the science in the final notebook better than she did. She also had a routing contract that she had just accepted, a 36-hour pickup window, and a career built on the simple principle that you kept your word with brokers because the job was not glamorous and consistency was the only thing that made it viable. She sat with all of this for a while. She put the ship in a holding pattern, opened the comm panel, and sent a short message to the routing broker. Forfeiting, citing equipment concerns. She would lose the contract and probably the broker. She had lost brokers before. She turned the ship around. The asteroid appeared again in the forward scope, tiny, then growing. The colony's cargo lights were still on amber, steady, the same as when she'd left. Petra had said, when you come back with the calm certainty of someone who knew the difference between someone leaving and someone being done. Jill had thought she was done. She hadn't been. Petra showed her the second tunnel on the right on the night she accepted the inheritance. It was a sealed passage running deeper into the moon's interior, away from the east tunnel, away from the docking bay, away from everything Jill had been shown as a guest. The door had been there the whole time. She'd walked past it twice a day for 11 days and never asked about it because it looked like utility access that nobody had given her a reason to ask. What was inside took her breath for a full minute. Gold. Decades of gold returns, accumulated and stored, filling chamber after chamber in the moon's interior. The asteroid the Federation had registered as commercially worthless and classified as a desolate religious outpost was not desolate. It had been quietly filling up since Elsa Klein's first jackpot, the returns stacking year after year, generation after generation, more wealth than every fortune Jill had ever heard of combined. The colony had been sitting on it the whole time, living bare minimum dressing in working clothes, eating real food, and calling it enough. Jill stood in the passage for a long time before she could form a sentence. Tyler knows, Petra said behind her. Tyler knows, and he lives like this. Tyler lives like this because it isn't his. It's the colony's, and the colony gives it to the void. Petra paused. What's left over goes to the collective. The collective. The odd bedfellows, the colony, and the resistance network, bound by practical necessity. Tyler funded the collective with the surplus because if Alpha Corp won, there would be nothing left to sacrifice. The colony and the collective were fighting the same war for entirely different reasons. Tyler had never pretended otherwise. The sacrifice branch of the family now had more than the accumulation branch had ever dreamed of. And they had arrived at it by giving everything away. Jill contacted the collective through the colony's existing channel that night. She told them about the notebooks, the zero gravity data, Elsa's test runs, the zero condition. She didn't fully understand how it fit in the larger picture. They did. The intelligence moved through the informant network to Red and Squirrel, who were simultaneously receiving Ray's Panama findings. The two pieces converged. Squirrel told Ray at the Heron Fountain Park that someone was already working on the same theory. Red told Jill where to find Ray. She went to find Tyler. That's its own section right there. Jiminy Christmas. Okay, let's give a little note here to Claudie Poo. Chapter 22, lines 71 through 75. There's a break, and then it says she went to find Taylor, and then there's a break. So not sure that needs its own section. He was at the east end of the tunnel, near the threshold. He was often there in the mornings, not doing anything, just standing near it. She had stopped finding this strange somewhere around day 12. I'm leaving tomorrow, she said. He looked at her. Okay. The contract window closes in 2 days, and if I miss it, I'd lose the booking. I understand. She expected him to argue. He didn't argue. He had never once in 23 days tried to keep her. She understood now that this was part of what made him difficult to dismiss. He was not recruiting. He was simply here, and he was not surprised when people left, and he was not surprised when they came back. The gold, she said. Yes. I can't explain it. No, he said, I know. Petra's explanation is physics. Your explanation is something else. Both explanations produce the same prediction, he said. Why is this saying that she's leaving? This is like when she just got back. Jiminy Christmas. After that, on line 77, it says that Jill finds Tyler to tell him that she's leaving, but she already left. This was in the previous chapter. Approaching weekly limit. Yeah, we read this in the other one. No, he said, I know. Yeah. What do you think? He was quiet for a long time. I think the physics answer is correct. He said, I think the gold is exactly what Elsa's orbital calculations predict. I think there's a mechanism and it is real and it does not require anything supernatural to function. He paused. I also think that the mechanism is not an accident. I think the void has the specific gravitational signature it has because something put it there. I think the cells interact with it the way they interact with it because the same something built that interaction into them. He looked at her. I think there's a difference between understanding the mechanism and understanding the intention. Physics explains the mechanism, not the other answer explains the intention. You don't know that. No, he said. I believe it. She looked toward the end of the tunnel. Elsa left notebooks for someone who hasn't come yet, she said. Yet, Tyler said. You think she's coming? Okay, so again, she already has these notebooks and we already know it's her. So let's just continue poking the bear here. In line 113, it says Elsa left notebooks for someone who hasn't come yet, but she has come, and it's Jill, and we already know that. So this is some definite drift and hallucination going on. You think she's coming? Elsa thought so. He was quiet. I think Elsa was right about most things. He spoke about the 11 years she had spent building this colony out of rock and belief in the 4 notebooks she had left behind. He spoke about the day she had arrived with 11 people and 1 resolution. Okay, she didn't arrive with 11 people. Jiminy Christmas. She didn't arrive with 11 people. On 121, she arrived with 369 people and 11 lived. That she had found, preserved, and handled with care rather than stripped for profit. He spoke about the last entry in the last notebook, written 3 days before she died in handwriting that Petra had described to him as shaky but precise. Yeah, we've read that part. Elsa arrived with 369 people, only 11 survived. But right here, it says that she arrived with 11 people. Jiminy Christmas. She had watched a man carry 4 fuel cells down the east tunnel until gravity let go of them and send them into the dark. We already saw that. That was in the early chapter. She left in the morning. She didn't leave in the morning. She just got back. Jiminy Christmas. Line 129, she left in the morning. No, she just got back. What the hell is going on with this chapter? All right. Yeah, we already did that. We already did that. Will you come back? Blah, blah, blah. For the first time, 2 hours. Yeah. This is the first of the, it's starting over. Maybe there's not 2 parts to this chapter, just 1. She thought about the gold crater on the face of the asteroid, the spectrometric reading, the way Petra, yeah, we already read this. Yeah, she already done all that shit. She's already back. She would think about the gold crater. She would not be able to stop. Also thought about Tyler Durden. Though you think about someone you met in a very strange time in your life. That's gold. When you were in the middle of something you didn't yet have a name for, and they named it anyway, and you left before you could decide what to do about that. That line is gold. Line 163. She also thought about Tyler Durden and the way you think about someone you met at a very strange time in your life. That paragraph, that line is gold. That needs to be saved, and that needs to be put in the previous chapter when she leaves. All right. Alpha 1, FedEx 5555, progress report, asset modification, subject Terran-Z, day 2, post-acquisition, initial assessment complete. Subject sustained moderate head trauma during the acquisition. A sniper round at range was not within authorized parameters of the operation. Green Bob's imprivation created unnecessary urgency. Injury left arm. Significant soft tissue damage. Secondary lacerations. Consistent with a fall. Stable. Cognitive baseline established. Collective adjacent background confirmed. Subject already operating above civilian expectation for this type of acquisition. Subject did not cooperate and is not expected to cooperate. Note for procedure, cooperation is not required. Okay, so Dr. Hexo has raised the question of whether to preserve subject's awareness throughout the integration process. If it says here, like this last note right here, tactical argument wins, preserve protocol, augmentation, wing is maintained at 16 degrees Celsius. This is standard. Subject's body temperature is held at 38.1 degrees on intake, consistent with secondary wound infection. It normalized over 48 hours without intervention. This has been logged and is not otherwise noted. Noted appended for Dr. Hexo. I want to record that I did not design this application. I'm not registered. Yeah, registering my objection in writing. And I am registering my objection in writing. Note appended by Station Commander Holt. Noted disregarded. So this was already, this also, Jiminy freaking Christmas. Let's go back up here too. I mean, I'm out of usage credits, but this will stay. On line 167, Alpha 1, FedEx 5555, progress report, asset modification. We've already received, Sharon's already back. This is in completely the wrong spot of the book. It's just completely out of time and out of order. This would be earlier. This should be earlier as a hint before Sharon boards the Golden Dawn. And now that I'm thinking about it, after Sharon boards the Golden Dawn and Grace takes a hold of this giant cargo ship that's really nice, and then the Meridian, the collective Meridian, docks into the FedEx 5555. Really, honestly, there's no point in the Golden Dawn staying separate. So the Golden Dawn should transfer its cargo of all the Dark X to the FedEx 5555, and they should be on the same ship as the collective, the Meridian, who's been kind of like the peanut gallery this whole time, commenting on what's going on. And then they should be like, oh my God, you're Sharon, and you're, Cole, and have a good day. I'm afraid to add this because I think it's going to lose it here because we're approaching our weekly limit. Let me check my settings. Usage. Yeah, so I'm all models. I'm only 77% used on all models. This is silly. My current session is 10%. Okay, yeah, let's add this to it as well. On another note, after Gracie is brought back with Cole's, fusion with Dark X and the nanoparticles from Dr. Stephen Conrad, we have the Meridian docking in the large FedEx 5555 ship. It doesn't make sense for them to be apart anymore. So honestly, the Golden Dawn should transfer all of its cargo to the FedEx 5555 ship for transport because it's a better transport container. And then it should dock and use its boosters and power to get back to Earth quicker. And on their way back to Earth is when all hell breaks loose with the Rachel Vase report with Max Ray Vision on the way home. So it does, I guess it would take them 6 months to get home because they would have to watch that on there. Or, I mean, they could actually just boogie home and get home, or they can either get home in 6 months or they can get home sooner and they can watch the telecast live as they find out through the, collective and Sami and everyone that the experiments aboard the space station Libre are a success. Wow, that's it, kids. That is chapter 22. Apparently, it's got a lot of drift and hallucination. So we're going to fix this, or it's going to be updated or moved. A lot of this is going to be moved to other chapters. So this might be a short chapter when we're done with it. If you guys are interested in the cryptocurrency project that is inspired by this book and that inspires this book, go to agproject.io and you can connect your wallet. You can buy darker matter yourself, and you can mint fuel cells yourself and hit a jackpot and all sorts of cool stuff. If you guys want to read the book at your own pace or feed it into AI text to speak generator, you can go to our Telegram, t.me /anti-gravity saga, and then click on the pinned messages, and you'll see the link to the GitHub repository, which has the entire book written out like code. And you can listen to it there or read it yourself there at your own pace. Any feedback is appreciated. You can send that to me on DMs. You can give us feedback in Telegram. Whatever you want to do, that would be great, because we are trying to make this as good of a book as possible before we go into audiobook production and use some AI to hopefully do different character voices and sounds and music and make it more immersive and entertaining. More entertaining than my voice, which I hope you've listened to this at 1.25x. I guarantee it would sound better if you did. And this will add another video to the playlist. We have 30 videos in this playlist of me reading Rings of Dust, the working draft right now. And this will be video 31. So watch for chapter 23 coming up next, and we'll just power through this and get as much of this done as possible. Thanks for joining me. We will catch you on the next one. Ciao.
Kolnova is here. He's the leader of Alpha, leading the charge. Yeah. With his main man Heavy, hit up right by, hit his side at the raid. Together they fight, the gods that corner. Rich and valor, fighting for good. They refuse to back down in this war for justice. They wear the crown. Kolnova and Heavy Hitter, they rise from the dust. Fighting for their cause, they never back down. With Big Boy Leroy, his feet firmly underground. In the face of danger, they fight through it all. Champions of hope, they rise to the top. Through shadows of doubt, they light up the way. With power and purpose, they seize every day. Their enemy tremble in the dark. Kolnova and Heavy Hitter are heroes embark in the big galaxy that's covered by night. They bring the fire and ammunition to ignite. For it's Alpha they serve, their honor was true. Kolnova and Heavy Hitter, they rise from the dust. Fighting for the cause, they never back down. With Big Boy Leroy, his feet